This is an Icon Ministry production with the support of our ministry partners and donors.
Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father, go to heaven, get into salvation, except through me. So no matter how much you try, no matter how much you try to be good, you can never make it to heaven by your own strength. It is never and has never been about how good you are that gets you to heaven. But it's always been about holding on to Jesus, the bread of life. And it is hard, it is difficult. It is the narrow road. It is tough to hold on to Jesus. Because without Him, you cannot have salvation. And I cannot emphasize this enough. But what about my daughter, my son that has walked away from the faith? They're not bad. They never murdered anyone. Again, it is only through Jesus. What about the Buddhist, the Muslim who lives a good Muslim life, a good Buddhist life, but doesn't know Jesus? Again, it is only through Jesus. Now, what about people who don't follow Jesus? Is there hope for salvation for them? Absolutely, there's hope, because Jesus is our hope giver. But there is no guarantee. Lumen Gentium, a book of the Second Vatican Council, chapter 11, says that anyone who through no fault of their own has not received the gospel, there is hope for salvation. In other words, he's saying that if you never heard the gospel, if you never had the opportunity to reasonably take in the gospel, then there's hope. But what about those who have heard the gospel? What about those who have heard about Jesus but still refuse Him? What about those who apostatize, those that used to follow Jesus and then became Muslims and then became Buddhists and left their faith? Well, according to the Bible, according to the teachings of the church, there is no salvation for those who are away from Jesus. Father Rob, that's really cruel. That's unfair. I'm going to stop watching your online masses because this is not fair. This is not right. Well, I'm only speaking the truth. That you cannot save yourself, your daughter, your son. The other religions cannot go to another God to save them, because only Jesus can save. It is not about what you know. It's not about how good you are, but it's about who you know. If anyone gets into heaven, it is because of the sacrifice of Jesus. And Jesus tells us that all we need to do is to receive His mercy and to respond to that mercy through a life of following Jesus, a life of holiness. The life of holiness, the goodness comes not from us, but an overflow of our relationship with Jesus. We need to pray for the world. You know, as a ministry, Icon Ministry, this is what we do. We try to reach out to the world, to tell people about Jesus, to bring them to salvation. Our dream, our hope is to reach 10 million people over the next 10 years. 10 million people over the next 10 years. We want them to hear the gospel. We want them to hear about Jesus. And this is why we have Icon Ministry, because we want to show them Jesus, the icon of the Father, who is the only way into heaven. Oh, Jesus, we pray for your world. We pray that you give us the grace to hear your gospel, but also to be able to respond to this grace so that we may make it to heaven.
This production is only made possible because of the generous support of Icon Ministry partners and donors. Please go to iconministry.com/support to make a donation.